How are you? You realize the school is talking about expelling you. You said you don't feel very close to people your age.
Today on Encore, a film about what some experts say is the next global pandemic, mental health. The Sun stars Hugh Jackman and Laura Dern as divorced parents of a teenage boy struggling with depression.
I've tried to be there for you. I've tried to give you strength. What's going on? Are you on drugs? You think you can just live your life doing whatever you feel like?
It's the second time French writer-director Florian Zeller has adapted one of his plays for the screen. The first was The Father, a remarkable depiction of dementia starring Anthony Hopkins, a role for which he won an Oscar. Laura Dern and Florian Zeller, hello.
Hello.
Congratulations on the film. Now, The Sun feels like a very personal story. It's dedicated to your stepson, Gabriel, who makes a cameo in the film as an intern. Why did you want to tell this story?
I wanted to tell the story not only because it was somehow personal, but also because I felt strongly that so many people could relate to it, meaning that it's a topic that we are trying not to explore somehow, because there are so much shame and guilt and denial around it, that I felt the urgency to tell that story in the most straightforward way, about a father and a mother trying to help their son, 17 years old, going through difficult times, depression, and to discover how complex and difficult it is to not to have the answers and not to know what to do anymore.
Beth, sorry, Kate's just here to talk to me about Nicholas. We've just found out he hasn't been going to school for almost a month.
It's not only that, Peter. He's not well. You need to speak to him. I don't know what to do anymore. He needs you, Peter. You can't just abandon him.
I'm not abandoning him. Why do you keep saying these things?
And Laura, from Big Little Lies to Blue Velvet, Jurassic Park, you've had some epic roles. Have you ever worked with a French director before?
This is my great dream since I was little. So it was extraordinary to get to be with Florian. Other than Jean-Marc Vallée, who's Québécois, I had not had the blessing of listening to my favorite language spoken while creating, and as a great lover of French cinema, it meant a lot to me. So hopefully one day we will film in France. But working with Florian as a filmmaker, as a writer, as a humanist, and as a father was life-changing.
And Florian, why did you want Hugh Jackman and Laura to play the parents in the film?
To be honest, I don't know.
I have no idea. In fact, I'm recasting.
Thinking about it now, I think that I couldn't have dreamt of better actors to do this part, and I mean it truly.
Possible.
I'm a big fan of Laura. I've been for years.
Yeah.
And I was so happy to have the opportunity to meet her on Zoom to speak about that story. And we felt the connection right away, and I knew that she would be completely available and fearless to explore these emotional territories. And it was really something special for me. And Hugh is the one who contacted me. He sent me a letter to say, if you don't have your actor, he knew the play, he knew I was working on it, and he said, if I could have 10 minutes to let you know why I should be the one. So I felt his urgency, and I was really touched by that, the truth that he felt, the emotions that he was familiar with. I knew that we could do something special together, and he's the most extraordinary person I've met, to be honest. It was extraordinary to work with him.
That's what you need for your party, that's it.
God, not another one. Oh, there's two.
It's not unusual to be mad with anyone. Hey, you'll knock him dead. Look at him move. Yeah, that's my son. To be sad with anyone.
Right, I'm coming in.
But if I ever find that you've changed at any time, it's not unusual to find that I'm in love with you.
The issues in the film are issues that affect all of us: parenting, divorce, also the effect that the pandemic has had on the mental health of our young people, even though you wrote the play before COVID. Did making the film change you as parents?
It's true that it was written before COVID, but we all feel now, after COVID, that we are in a new situation, as if it was like a new epidemic somehow, a mental health epidemic. And I think we need to talk about it. We need to feel comfortable talking about it in order to help people who need help and to help each others. And that's really why I wanted to make this film, to open the conversations. It was not just to heal myself. It was really to share something with the audience and to try to question the way we look at mental health issues.
And Laura, after working on this film with mental health experts, for people watching at home who might be dealing with these things, these issues, what should we do? What can we do when our kids come to us and say, I feel sad, I'm in pain, I don't know why. Can you help me?
One aspect of it that was profound to me was the advice that we must have the questions, and that the greatest advice is that we are very direct with our children or our loved ones about what they are feeling, that we don't shy away from it, we don't discount their feelings, that we are great listeners and not afraid about even the hardest conversation, particularly when dealing with clinical depression. Do you want to add to
and
that?
sometimes it takes time and it's painful to understand or to accept that we are not well equipped to deal with these problems. And it takes time yet to accept that. And sometimes the time we don't have it. So I think it's important not to feel guilty and to accept it's not a failure to have that conversation.
Is that why you came to see me? To tell me what a good dad you are?
No.
Obviously it is. You came to show me irrefutable proof of your moral superiority, is that it? You came to demonstrate to me that you can give up your ambitions to look after your son, as opposed to me, right?
Not at all.
So you're still at it, huh? Really? Blaming me for what happened, was 40 years ago? Yeah. Still trying to show me what a model dad you are? Wow. So what do you want? Applause? Bravo.
Now, Anthony Hopkins has a small role in the film. He won an Oscar for your last film, The Father. You won an Oscar for the Best Adapted Screenplay. You recently won an Oscar as well for Marriage Story. How does it change your life to win an Oscar?
To me, I think it helped me to finance The Son. I'm not sure I would have been able to finance it because of what it is about. It's a frightening subject, I would say, somehow, even though I felt that it is exactly what we needed to speak about. So the blessing for me of the Oscars was it made it possible to have the chance to work with Laura and Hugh and to tell that story, and now to share it with the audience.
For me, perhaps less of a change and more of a family story, that I was raised with the history of the Academy being important to my family, having gone as a child with both my parents when they were nominated. And so the idea of being acknowledged by your peers as a continued support for the arts and the legacy of cinema felt very beautiful. But for films like The Son, for artists like Florian, or in the case of the Oscar that I won for a Noah Baumbach film, it is essential for independent cinema and for fierce and very innovative artists and storytellers to have their films supported and found, particularly, hopefully, in movie theaters. And so I'm very grateful to the Academy and the British Academy for their continued support to films that deserve to be experienced in the collective of a movie-going audience.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's my little boy. I can't give up on him.
They observe. They contact us. They report.
film, photograph. They are the voice of the voiceless. Your eyes in the far-flung reaches of the world. The Observers, a network of 5,000 committed citizens working with France 24.
One of our observers in Côte d'Ivoire, Gaspard.
Amateur footage and testimonials checked by our journalists and broadcast weekly on The Observers, on France 24 and observers.france24.com.